We've all been transported to worlds beyond our wildest imagination with books. But books are also a great vehicle to get together and exchange ideas. Welcome to Books du Jour. Come and join our authors at the table. My next guest is someone we've seen before, Jon Land from Providence. And he's got a new book, Strong Darkness. And you were telling me a little bit, it seems like there's a girl with a gun, but you're telling me it's about Chinese people, really.
Well, they get shot.
G5 network.
It's
okay.
Caitlin, it's female Texas Ranger Caitlin Strong.
So it's your hero, Caitlin,
yeah,
right?
and Caitlin, this is her 6th adventure.
Okay.
And in this book...
How many books have you published with?
This would be number 6.
Number 6 with her.
Number 6 with her.
Okay.
Number 36 overall.
Really?
Yes.
You've been that prolific?
Yes, and I'm only 12. I mean, so I'm 25.
Well, you look like shit, I have to tell you, for 12 years old.
Yeah. But in her 6th adventure, in Strong Darkness, Caitlin Strong is up against a Chinese billionaire who owns a company, or runs a company, that's going to be building the 5G wireless network across the United States for nefarious purposes.
Okay. So is it synonymous, like if it's built by Chinese, it's always nefarious, given all the hacking is going on in the world with the government? I was like a couple of days in the New York Times, they said like Chinese have been hacking into government records, data for civil servants.
Yes, it was, they were going at, they were hacking into top secret security clearances. Okay. For obvious reasons. Okay.
What was the obvious reasons? I may know, you may know, but our audience doesn't know.
If you're able to tap into people, if you know who has high-level security clearances, you know the people who have the information that justifies the high-level security clearances. Okay. Those are the people who know stuff the rest of us don't know. Okay. And if you want to go after someone's intellectual property, what they've got in their computer, you go after those people.
Okay, so it's all very well, but what's the purpose of all this hacking?
Well, the Chinese, if you can't come up with somebody else, your own idea, you steal someone else's. Okay. And the Chinese are very ambitious, and they have great initiative, but their initiative seems to be, they focus their energy, it seems, more on taking what other people develop, the United States, as opposed to developing their own stuff. Now, the irony here, and this comes out in Strong Darkness, is the reason why a Chinese company built the 4G network, this is in reality, a company named Shenzhen out of Plano, Texas, built the 4G network. The fourth generation wireless network was built by a Chinese company because there's no American company that can do it. And the technology, and here's the tragedy, the technology the Chinese used to build it was stolen from the Americans to build something we can't build anymore. And that's kind of like saying, we can't build cars. We have to buy cars from, we have to import all our cars. And that would be, so it's just a little, it's not as scary to me that the Chinese are doing it as the fact that we are no longer technologically capable of doing it. We have no private corporation that can do it. Okay.
Well, this is two separate issues, but let's stay with the Chinese. What's happening is spying, basically. It's a commercial corporate spying. This always has been going on.
Yes.
I remember East Germany when it was there, or the Polish, and there was always spread, and the Russian. So why is this more scary now?
You know, this is a wonderful question. Yeah. And the reason it's a wonderful question is what you're talking about in years past, it was human intelligence. It had to be gathered and collected, and thus it was easier to secure because you were securing intelligence from human eyes and cameras. You needed to physically break into some place to actually steal it.
Or we have a little camera on your button and take pictures.
Of course, and all this James Bond stuff was probably being used, but it was defensible. The internet is virtually impossible to secure because for every fix, there is a workaround. And we are into the high-tech spying and corporate espionage, because that's what we're essentially talking about. Yes. When it's private companies that are being taken from. You have all this information flying over no longer the physical highway. Yeah. It's the information superhighway. And anyone with a laptop anyone with an internet connection can figure out, if they want to, if they're smart enough, how to break into through the firewalls instead of the actual physical walls.
So it's a different way of getting into a fortress.
In other words, there is no vault that's safe anymore. There is no person. They don't need to torture anybody to get the information. There's no more Chinese. You remember the famous, quote, Chinese water torture?
Sure.
Well, that was to extract human intelligence that now is extracted through machines, extracted through the information superhighway, creating a little bypass instead of a human bypass. And the other thing is, it happens in real time. In other words, we've eliminated the middle, the thing where intelligence passes from person to person, which means there's a gap in time and that intelligence is old before the time you get it. Now, everything is happening in real time. When you steal something, it's something that might just have come on yesterday. And the mistake we make as laymen, if you're a lay person, and even the mistake you make if you're a technophobe who thinks he's smart enough or she's smart enough to secure the network is, you think you're impenetrable. You don't think you can be hacked. You think you're the one person who has it figured out, but you don't. And it leads to a false sense of security, that, oh no, they'll never get through our firewall. And the problem with it is, almost invariably, when we uncover it, it's not until 6 months to a year later. I mean, this hacking thing that came up recently with high-level security clearances, that wasn't new. That information was months old.
Oh, yeah.
The damage, in other words, has
already
been
discovered.
done.
Yeah.
You know.
You mentioned about the corporation, American corporation, not being able to create this 4G network or 5G network. Is it because the Chinese have stolen so much and it works faster that they put American business out of business, or is it because we have a brain drain in the States? And
that's a great question, and I think it's more that it's so expensive to build the technology. It is not cost effective for companies like Cisco to do the kind of things the Chinese have embraced because of cheap labor. Remember, China is far from a democracy.
Sure,
the government and the military own everything. You may think that Shenzhen is a privately owned company and they put their CEO, but everything that CEO does from Shenzhen and out of Plano, Texas, and you can drive right past it. And Yuyuan, which is the fictional Shenzhen that I use that's set somewhere else in Texas, north of San Antonio, these people are directly answerable to the military and the government. We are a democracy. Our private corporations do not answer to the government and the military. They're not supported by the government and the military. And you see this, I got such a kick out of this when Putin invaded the Ukraine, and this is an example of the difference between a totalitarian government and a democracy. Everyone said, oh, why can't Obama, so not everyone, but there were certain segments of this population, certain political segments that said, I wish Obama could be so decisive. Well, when you're a dictator, when you're not answerable to your people, you can do anything you want.
Of course, absolutely.
So the answer to your question is, the reason why the Chinese can do it and we can't is because the government is telling the Chinese companies what to do and bankrolling them to do it, whereas our companies are profit-driven, it's not. We're not a communist state.
So what would be their goal? What do you think? I mean, since you bring it, it's like, so it seems like there's a political, socio-political agenda.
That is another brilliant question, and I think you almost have to go back thousands of years to Sun Tzu, when there were 7 kingdoms in China, and they were constantly at war. And the Chinese people, from that time forward, I think ingrained in, remember, they've existed. They are the oldest, arguably the oldest culture in world history. Their culture dates back, and they have constantly been fighting for survival in an unusual way. These 7 kingdoms that in some ways George R.R. Martin has modeled the 7 kingdoms in Game of Thrones on, that there is a tradition that you must be better than your neighbor in order to survive. You can't coexist as equals. You must be better or you will be destroyed. And I've never been asked that question before and I haven't really thought about it directly. But I believe the reason why they do this, instead of working in partnership with us, instead, you know, and this is true of the Asian culture somewhat in general, Samsung and Apple. I mean, you know, that's probably the most obvious technological ripoff in history, the Galaxy phone and the iPhone. I mean, it's been proven in court that they stole it. So you look at this, and it's strictly because the Chinese do not feel equality is you cannot if you even a rival, we're not their enemy, but we're their rival. Rivals cannot be equal. One must be on top of the other. This is the philosophy of Sun Tzu.
Yeah, but yet again, you know, in economics, when the U.S. economy was tanking, they've been buying billions and hundreds of billions of bonds for us to bail us out. So.
And you're absolutely right. But the Chinese never do anything for the betterment of someone else. They did that because it allowed them to gain more control.
Absolutely, yeah.
And when I say control, it's not like they can. The Chinese are an extremely ambitious people, an extremely ambitious government. They want their society to be the greatest in the world. The thing that would destroy them faster, that would stop them from doing that and destroy them faster than anything, would be our destruction. You know, what we have here is mutually assured, we have MAD, mutually assured destruction, but economically instead of with nuclear bombs. This is a different version of the Cold War, but in the same token, mutually assured destruction kept the world from destroying itself. And it's the same thing in this global economy. Nobody can afford to have someone else fail. Because if Europe fails, America fails. If America fails, the world fails. If China goes down, then we're in trouble.
Yeah. Do you think the American government is doing the same?
Do I what?
Do you think the American government is doing the same, like a spying level?
No.
No?
No, because...
Why do you think people like Julian Assange, for example, in the guy who defected?
I despise Julian Assange. I despise Edward Snowden. Snowden is a traitor. It's a different thing. The NSA and spying, however you feel about it.
I'm interested to see what you think about it.
It's a different subject than corporate espionage on the international level. All the things Snowden uncovered were a direct result of 9/11. 9/11 taught us that the only way to prevent great disasters and potentially disasters far worse than 9/11 is to extract intelligence while it can still be effective. To not make the same mistakes we made with 9/11.
There are a lot of people complaining about civil liberties when all our phone conversations are being taped, you know, or recorded for whatever purpose we don't know, but purpose can be found in case of, no?
It's a trade-off. It's a zero-sum game. We lose a measure of privacy. We lose a measure of what we once had. But the trade-off, what we get back, is our country has a far better chance to stay secure. You can't have it both ways. If you know, what I find interesting are the people who complain and protest the NSA and data gathering. What are they going to be saying when their children die in a plane crash or in a terrorist attack that was not prevented because the NSA was no longer gathering information? The NSA can read every email I write. They can listen to every phone call I make. They can know every internet site I visit because it's worth it to me to allow them to do that. If I had to sign a piece of paper to let them do it, I would. Because if it helps keep me safe, if it helps keep me from another being involved in another devastating attack, from being a victim of another devastating attack, for my business or people that are close to me. I mean, anyone who lost friends or in 9/11, family or friends in 9/11, I don't think they're against the NSA. And I think we need to listen to people we need to ask ourselves, do we judge 2014 under the prism of 1995, 1998, 1963, 1965? Mm-hmm. Or do we judge it under the realistic prism of a world where there are people who want to destroy us? ISIS exists to destroy our way of life. They hate us. There is nothing we can do. It's not because we're in the Middle East. Yeah. They are against everything we stand for. They want to go back to Sharia law. At least they say they do. They want the power. And if you gave them a bomb that could wipe out all of America, they would use it. So I ask people who celebrate Edward Snowden as a hero, if that bomb ever goes off because of something Edward Snowden did, are you still going to feel that way? And I want the NSA to do everything they can and anything they can.
Well, maybe Caitlin can help us.
In Strong Darkness, she does.
She does. There you go. See, you resolve the whole situation for us. My guest was Jon Land. Strong Darkness. It sounds very dark, and I hope nothing of your prediction happens. And wish you all the best with the new release.
Thank you ever so much. What great questions. I can't thank you enough.
You're welcome.